say it's a unique laboratory because this is a sort of a incubation center. So, you think of a problem and try to solve it and create something out of it. So, this is a virtual visit link which you can check, or you have already gone through this, you can explore it more. So, this was the overview of what the environmental geomechanics would be. What is your reaction to this? Rashmi, you have not spoken. So, what comes to your mind after seeing all this background?
I'm pretty excited. Like, as an engineer, I just want to give something to society. So, this is a real life problem, and we'll be learning. Like,
Yes, please.
When you are dealing with radionuclides,
Hmm.
I specifically want to ask, like, whenever you set a nuclear power plant,
Hmm.
they already have a unit that deals with waste, and there are very stringent rules like regarding how to keep it and how to transport it. So why are you getting into this thing? Because there are already nuclear plants operating in the India and all over world, and they have specifically for each plant they have unit to control the waste and all these things.
Try to find out this answer yourself from the net. And number two is that when I started my career, these people came to me to help them. So, that means it is understood that they do not have any answer to their questions. So, in the process I started I guided 3 PhD students from atomic energy employees, and the very first one was in almost year 2002, 2003. So, I am sure you must be realizing that in 2000 plus also India was not having answers to the questions that how the waste should be disposed and how it should be buried and what should be done with it. Because you are slightly mixing up your own question. Radio physicists and the atomic physicists do the experiments in the reactors. Clear? By the time experiment is over, they take off their gloves and they throw it in the dustbin and they walk out of the place. Now, the question is where this waste is going to be disposed and how. So, the story starts from there. Number two, whatever the waste is being dumped or generated in a big manner from the fuel cycle, how would you take care of that? So, these are the questions which still people do not have the answers for. So, we will talk about all these issues and then how all these concepts were assimilated in the environmental geomechanics, this you might appreciate. Okay, so let me talk about the prerequisite for the course. Prerequisite, I hope you understand the word, that means what is required from your side, so that there is a synchronization between our thoughts. Yeah, so I was also like you know, few years back, and then I realized that if you have to survive in today's world as a professional, these are the two main subjects which we have very conveniently ignored as engineers, so called. So, I am sure those of you who are inclined towards R&D, or those of you who are going to deal with the problems which are prevailing in the society, you cannot solve any problem keeping biology, chemistry in abeyance. Why? You will realize this very soon, because most of the issues which we are dealing with, they are heavily related with the bioprocesses. Why do you age? Clear? It is a biological activity, and when you age, what happens? Your biochemistry changes. Okay, we will discuss about this. So, sufficient exposure of the basic science is a must in today's technology, and this is what we have very conveniently ignored until now, all of us. You agree or not? Our teaching has been, mug up x and y and z and that is it, equations. The situation is like this, that there are no equations to help you, because you do not know the parameters. Even if you know the parameters, you do not know how to estimate the parameters, how to determine the parameters, how to put them into an equation to get the answer. So, everything is not known. Clear? So, we will deal with lot of situations like this. So, physics concepts are required. We were talking about the atomic physics. what type of radionuclide is coming, chemistry, radiochemistry, biology, what type of flora fauna is existing in the subsurface. Agreed? So, very hot topic for environmental geotechnics is flushing of pathogens in porous media, migration of radionuclides in porous media, fate of nuclides in porous media. From sewage treatment plants, whatever effluents are coming, they must be having lot of pathogens. Sediments have lot of pathogens. So, how do these pathogens migrate from one place to another place, subsurface? How microbial activity changes from one place to another place over a period of time. All right, are you realizing this or not? And then comes the materials, different type of materials, which requires an approach of material scientist. You have mastered concrete, you have mastered steel, you have mastered glass, you have mastered plastics. Have you mastered soils? Very soon you will realize that you have talked about only one attribute of the soil, which is mostly physical attributes. You have particle size, specific gravity, compressibility, which are engineering properties, but truly speaking all of them are related to the physics of the material. So, 90% of the gamut of the activities has still not been fathomed, has not been explored, and unless I explore that, I cannot give the right answers to the problems. Is this okay? So, basically you required lot of exposure to civil and environmental engineering, which all of you are having, adequate concepts of soil mechanics, rock mechanics, geotechnical engineering. What is the difference between rock mechanics, soil mechanics and geotechnical engineering? Why I have written it separately? Any idea?
Various forces and
Various forces.
acting on the soil.
Okay. Okay.
Rocks.
So, what is the difference between 1, 2 and 3? Or there is no difference. You see, you have to understand all these things. You know why? Why it is important to understand the difference between 1, 2 and 3? Yes.
Sir, actually, in soil mechanics, we generally deal with the behavior of soil,
Okay.
and in rock mechanics, I think we deal with the big tunnel. We can
Not tunnel in an object. It's
no,
a
we deal with
creation.
the how to read the behavior of big boulders, or how to deal with the behavior.
Okay, good. You
Maybe
are quite close. Yeah, next. And geotechnical engineering?
geotechnical engineering, with the help of technologies, how to deal with the soil. Maybe I'm not sure. Broader term, yeah.
Yes, please give it to him. Very nice.
Application.
Yeah, yes, you are right. Absolutely.
Application
of what?
soil mechanics.
Very good.
Is,
So, soil and rock mechanics are the mechanics of the materials. And when it comes to the application, it becomes geotechnical engineering. So, have you understood now the difference between how the material behaves is what you have studied. Now, you have joined a geotechnical engineering division of IIT Bombay. You should have questioned this. Why geotechnical engineering? Why not soil mechanics division and rock mechanics division? Clear? So, geotechnical engineering is mostly application oriented. So, whatever you have studied until now in terms of the material and its behavior, now I am going to use it for different applications. One of the applications could be making a tunnel. Another application would be making a tunnels in the sub-zero climatic conditions. Another application would be making a tunnel beneath the sea. You know how many situations I have created. The tunnel remains same, the material remains same or might be different, but the circumstances have got changed. Agreed? So, when you deal with the geotechnical engineering, it is a very larger or the wider spectrum what he is talking about is correct, where you are talking about the applications of the material and its response, clear, in terms of creation of something. Is this fine? Now, this is very important for this course. What I have written, what is the meaning of this? Not in the literal sense. Rashmi, What comes to your mind? An inquisitive and thoughtful mind.
Have knowledge of whatever we have studied, and we should be ready to think beyond that.
Yes, very good. Anyone else? Srikant, what do you understand by an inquisitive and thoughtful mind?
Maybe like you should not accept everything what thought. You should inquire in everything, like what is what.
Good. Okay.
General awareness of what is happening in our surroundings. We should live in present.
Okay.
We should watch everything around us.
That's thoughtful mind. And inquisitiveness, question. You are right. Question everywhere. So this is a prerequisite for this course or this discussion. You should have a lot of questions in your mind. Why something is being said, whether I should follow it or not. I would like to confront it. I don't agree with this. I have another logic. So create parallax between what is being said, what is being told, what is being discussed, and maybe your own ideas. So then you create a situation, another situation. As I said, this discussion is mostly situation oriented. Take a simple case of tunnels. I created different situations. So when you are doing something beneath the sea, it's a different situation. Whatever precautions will be taken to do tunnels. Can you blast? What you could have done in the mountainous regions, there you could have done blasting, controlled blasting. If you do, let us say, in a tunnel which is underneath sea, and if you do the blasting, what is going to happen? Yeah, you are right. Correct. So look at the situation. There is nothing as x plus y equal to z. You have to understand x operator plus y and operator equal to and z. We will create these type of situations several. This is also very important. What I have written here. Vikas. Yes. What is the meaning of this?
With that inquisitive and thoughtful mind, we have to see the nature.
Speak loudly, nobody can hear.
With that inquisitive mind, we have to see the nature unconventionally.
Okay.
What others, how others are seeing and what I am seeing in nature.
Okay.
It will be different in a different perspective.
Very good. Yeah, the perspectives matter a lot. All right. So those of you who might be aware of the legal system, we call them as the criminal proceedings, CRPCs. In a court of law, both the advocates have read the same book. You agree? But the logics are different. So what logics do to the code of conduct? This is something related to unconventional observations. So what are unconventional observations? Which 99.99% people might have ignored. They could not observe them. Why? Were they myopic? What happened? What went wrong?
Sir, actually what happened, most of the things they listened up and believed that. They are not self-analyzing the things.
Okay.
Maybe. So by doing self-analysis, maybe the things may be different or.
Well, that's an interesting analysis of the statement. Yes, nice.
Also, the things which are which is in actual behavior is not in that manner that we see. So we can think beyond that.
Okay.
So thinking must be important in this case.
Yeah. So I don't know how to explain it further, like unconventional observations. So what appears,
what the thing just generally appears is not that true.
Yeah.
So we can think beyond that. So the thing.
Good. So why this is required for studying environmental geomechanics? I think 2-3 minutes back somebody said perspectives.
Yes, perspective is important.
Clear. What are perspectives? This is also unconventional observations. or observing a fact in a different way. So, is this okay? So, I think I gave you enough ideas.
Yes, this is the thing, na, which proves that we are different from others.
So, this subject is mostly situation dependent,
Situation
number
dependent.
1, number 2 more of the logic dependent. Why? You will realize soon. When there are industrial activities and industrial activities are going to be detrimental to the society, what is going to happen? The way of looking at things is going to be changed by different people. So, I am running my industry, I am producing the products and I am producing enough byproducts which are polluting the environment and the geo-environment and disturbing the neighbors. So, I am very happy with this scenario, but suppose if I am sitting in the neighbors area, for me what is happening? It is not a very rosy situation. So, this is one of the ways of realizing how the perspectives might get changed from one side to another side of the fence. As long as I was within these fences, I was producing something, but if I am on the other side of the fence, I am producing and discharging most of the pollutants. The context has changed. So, some of the references which I have listed over here, the first thing is that I would say that your interaction in the class should be as good as possible, because it would be difficult for you to refer to a lot of books and all. So, the best thing is the lecture notes and the interaction which you are having in the classroom, that you should make more perfect. All right. Try to make it a habit of doing net surfing. Also, you should start checking various international conferences, proceedings and the symposia which are happening. International journals, I do not know how many journals you have really gone through until now. There are ASC journals, Canadian Geotechnical Journal, ASTM is there are so many, Soil Science Society of America. And incidentally, I launched this journal about 6-7 years back, Environmental Geotechnics. I do not know how many of you are really aware of this or not. It is an international journal which is published by ICE of UK. Are you aware of ICE of UK? Institution of Civil Engineers of UK. So, they are the publisher of this journal. Go through the editorial which I wrote long back. All right. So, if you check the editorial board of this journal, this is ICE, we call it as ICE. This is a cousin brother of ASC, American Society of Civil Engineers, or ASTM, American Society of Testing Materials. And if you check the editorial board, you will get a complete list of, this is myself. So, I am the editor-in-chief. I started this journal about 6-7 years back, and I have several advisors and editorial board members, a very big team, and these are the guys who are the front runners in this subject internationally. All right. So, what you should be doing is, whenever you get time, please read the editorial which I wrote, and that would be in volume 1, issue 1. So, if you click over here, you would get this editorial which I wrote. All right. This will give you a fair idea about what is happening in the world. Okay. And this would be a good starting point for the subject. All right. Another thing is, make it a habit to read the editorials which I invite different professionals all over the world for every issue of the journal. So, like if you see volume 1, I had written. If you go to volume 1, issue 2, you will find editorial by Lara Kosagulu. So, these are the leaders, as I said, a geotechnical engineer's perspective. So, these editorials are available online. You can easily go through them, and they are not very big. They have only 1-page write-ups. Whence and where to of the environmental geotechnics. All right. Very interesting titles. I am sure you will love to go through them. If you see the importance of the environmental geotechnics by Arul Raja from Australia and so on. So, each volume and issue I appoint one of the leading professionals in the world to write about what is happening, alright. So, this is just to give you an idea about what is happening. So, like themed issue on flow and contaminant transport. I do not know how many of you know KK Foon, he is in Singapore, and he has written the editorial on flow and transport in porous media and in the face of uncertainty. We publish 7 papers only per issue, alright. You can also refer to some of the books on environmental engineering and geotechnical engineering, which might help you. This is just for your reference. See, minerals play a very important role in environmental geomechanics. So, most of the discussion would be revolving around the minerals and the mineralogy, clear. And because mineralogy is guided by the chemistry of the material, so we will enter into the chemistry. And ultimately, the mineral is in a physical state. So, we talk about the physical attributes of the minerals also. So, we talk about physical and chemical attributes which are dictating the mineralogical attributes of the material or the minerals. So, this is a special series on minerals in soil environments. I mean, look at the title of the book, Minerals in Soil Environments. Very tricky, is it not? You should read this sometimes. It is not a very straightforward title. You are finding something interesting or something very non-interesting. So, this is from Soil Science Society of America. There is another book by contaminated John Reeves, Contaminated Land Treatment Technologies, but these are all specialized books. So, as I said, please do not venture to buy these books. Just whenever you become an expert in the subject or you want to do practice of environmental geomechanics, at that time these books will be very useful for you. There is another interesting conference, Environmental 2000, which was held in 2000, characterization, containment, remediation and performance in environmental geotechnics by Ecker and Daniel. And there is a book by Hari and Krishna. This is Geoenvironmental Engineering, Site Remediation, Waste Containment and Emerging Waste Management Technologies. There is another interesting book on geotechnology of waste management, but this is very specialized on the waste management, this one and the previous one, Ovis and Khera. There is a book which I was a co-author for, fundamentals of geoenvironmental engineering. Most of the part has been written by my co-authors, Abdul Mohsen and Ivan Peliogolos and Valeria Gumeres. So, these are the guys who have worked in this area, understanding soil, water and pollutant interaction and transport. There is another interesting book which I am writing since long, but it is not complete yet. And so, this is myself and Afshin Asadi, we are writing a book on environmental geotechnology, meeting challenges through need-based instrumentation. Some time back I told you that most of the instruments which you see in the laboratory were not procured, directly from the market. And this is what I say is need-based instrumentation. Whenever we required something, we created that, alright. So, I want to share my ideas in the form of this book. A little bit on the topics and syllabus. I will be talking about the general principles of the subject, introduction, nature of soil and environment. Have you heard about nature of soil ever? I think nobody talked about nature of soil as such, but for us nature of soil is very important, like human beings. They say is a very good natured person, is it not? Similarly, we have to say yes, soils are having good nature, affinity, liking, disliking, orders, disorders, emotions, no emotions and so on. We will discuss all these things. And the environment. Then we will talk about the soil technology. Normally people talk about soil engineering. So, you have to understand the difference between the engineering and technology also. What is the difference between engineering and technology? We are talking about how the soil as a material can be used to create some techniques out of it, or how to create techniques which can be employed for betterment of the society. Now, from this point onwards, we will start discussing about the soil water interaction, which you were talking about as 3-phase system, but you are not very close to the interaction term. So, even if the 3 phases are present, how these 3 phases are interacting with each other is a big question, because once you start understanding the interaction between the 3 phases, then the geomechanics part gets clubbed to the environmental issues. We will talk about the shrinkage phenomena. Until now, shrinkage has been supposed to be a curse in the subject, clear, but now we will see that shrinkage cannot be a curse, it could be a boon also. What are the situations? We will talk about swelling and cracking characteristics of soils. Okay. So, the deviation starts from the conventional geomechanics, where you thought that if a soil mass shrinks or swells, it is a curse. It is not so. There are many industries, there are many situations where this property becomes a boon. We will go into the details of that. And one of the applications of these properties would be what we were talking about, how to handle the high toxic, highly at elevated temperatures and hazardous waste, which could be a nuclear waste. We will talk about the hydraulic conductivity and mass transport phenomena. So, hydraulic conductivity you have already done, mass transport you might not have done. We will discuss this quite in. From this point onwards, we will be talking about the thermal and electrical properties of soils. That means, when soils and geomaterials get exposed to electric field, how do they behave? There are ample situations where this might happen, and this concept how it will be utilized for in today's technology, clear, for detection of something or for creating something and so on. Then we will talk about the radiation effects on soils, how the radiation is influencing the properties of the soils. So, in short, this is what the focus of my discussion would be. It might not be in a very structured manner, but I will try to cover up all topics either randomly or one by one or in the form of a story. It is okay, but broad outlook of the entire course would be of this type. And of course, we will be talking about the so where all these situations are being handled, in what way, and that forms the applications part. Is this part okay? So, you not to write things much, this is all available on the web.